then she can catch up. So I think we need a roll call for who on the board. You're muted.
Sorry. Michael Gore.
Here.
Eric Nyland.
Here.
Pete Driscoll.
I'm here.
Mark Sprague.
Here.
And Jim Barr.
Here.
Right.
Okay. So yes, let's get started. Why don't we start with planner's report?
Sure.
Just to put you on the spot here.
Sure. Sorry, just a moment. I've got a lot of tabs open. I'll keep it brief tonight. Just wanted to let the board know about that the Making the Connections pilot program intermunicipal agreement was signed by the selectmen. So that allows the planning department and the Council on Aging to partner with a local livery company to just get set up with service for Bolton residents. And then we also have the final report now for the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Plan and Action Grant. So this is a joint venture with Bolton, Harvard, and Devens. So I've provided the links to the final report, the story map, and then there was one other, I think it was the project website that just provides a lot more information. So if you don't have much time to read through that report, it's about 200 pages long or so. But if you want to kind of look for the Bolton specific data, I think it starts on page 91. And it's pretty interesting, especially as we think about our master planning efforts and what our soils look like and what natural solutions we could come up with and maybe incorporate into the master plan as well. And then lastly, the Nashoba Regional Greenways project is moving right along. And so at this point, they are, that's the group that's trying to make trail connections along the lines of MAPC's Landline initiative. In Bolton, it's using existing roadway systems. And so coming up here pretty shortly, the group is going to look to schedule some bike rides. I think they've already done Acton and Stowe. So they're going to do one through Bolton. I think it's going to be important. If any of you know some avid cyclists or even just recreational hobby cyclists or someone who's looking to cycle for commuting or folks who are interested in trails, send them to me if they want to be part of the project. I think it's going to be important that we ground truth the trails or the trail system that is suggested. So, we'll need that. I'll need that local knowledge that I don't have. So I think that's about it for me.
Okay. Any questions on anything on there? No. Okay. Let's see, I guess next is, I don't think there was much in correspondence that we needed to review, was there?
No.
When I looked at the page, I didn't see it. Okay, so I guess the next will be the approval of meeting minutes for April 10th of 2019, June 9th of 2021, and June 23rd of 2021. So has everybody on the board reviewed those?
Yep.
Okay. Any comments, corrections? No. Okay. Yes, can I get a motion and a second to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve. Oh, well, I mean, I wasn't at the June 23rd meeting, so.
Okay.
Can I still make the motion or to approve all three? Whatever, I'll make the motion to approve the 3 dates minutes mentioned.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mark Sprague.
Yes.
Peter Driscoll,
Aye.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Eric Nyland,
Aye.
and Daniel Spicer.
I'll abstain since I just joined, so sorry.
All right. I saw you
This is
pop
just
up.
approval of the minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we've got a few minutes before the hearing can start. Let's see here, what looks, what can we pull forward to fill in some time here? Valerie, can we pull one of the, like the Annie Moore A&R up to now, or should we wait until after the hearing for that?
Whichever one we'd like to do.
Okay, yeah, why don't we take a look at, just Annie Moore? I don't think that should take too long.
Sure. Let me find that. Oh, sorry. All right. I'm not sure if the applicants or their engineers here. Let me see.
Valerie, I'm here. Ryan Proctor, Dillis Murray.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome.
Just walk us through what you're doing and why here.
Absolutely. So what we're doing here, we are creating 3 non-buildable parcels, and those are all going to come from the Lord property, which wraps. If you look at the locus map, it wraps all the way around the hatched area. This is in the upper right of the plan that I'm looking. Parcel A and B are going to be conveyed to the Spedden property, which is the lot that has the house on it on the site plan. And parcel C is going to be conveyed to the other Lord property, which is, and looking at straight at the plan in the center of the big hatched area. So we're not removing the frontage from parcel 7. They do still have about 650 feet of frontage on the other side of Annie Moore Road, which is right below Annie in the locus map in the upper right of the plan. So basically parcel A and B, like I said, being conveyed to Mr. Spedden, and parcel C is being conveyed to parcel 71.
Okay.
Yep.
Any particular reason for the shuffle here?
I'm covering for my boss Stan tonight, so
Okay.
Frankly, I don't know exactly, but
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, where's the septic on the and well on the parcel with the house on it?
that's a fair question. One that I probably should have anticipated. I apologize. I'm pulling up a plan here to see if I can find that answer for you right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't catch that either, actually. Thank you.
I mean, I would expect they're not giving away their septic system or anything, but just.
Yeah, so we are increasing their size, so we're not pinching their lot with respect to the setbacks or anything. We're actually adding more space to the Spedden property. So if anything, we're increasing thus any setback distances for the septic that would be there.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else on the board have any questions? No?
No, I
Anybody?
think I'm okay.
Okay, anybody else in the audience? Any questions on or comments on this? Okay. Gonna get a motion to approve the A&R.
I'll make a motion to approve the A&R of 71 Annie Moore Road.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Mark Sprague,
Yes.
Pete Driscoll,
Aye.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Eric Nyland,
Aye.
and Daniel Spicer.
Aye.
Okay. Good. So I think it's close enough to 7:15 for the hearing now. So we'll have a public hearing to hear and act upon the application of Justin Kalis of 174 Harvard Road. The applicant is seeking a backland lot special permit pursuant to Section 250-13 of the Code of the Town of Bolton in the residential zoning district for a property located at 174 Harvard Road, identified on Assessor's Map 6C as Parcel 10. Okay. The applicant or engineer here to talk
Yep, I'm here.
here? Okay. Great.
So I believe last meeting was the June 23rd meeting where we left off. There was a concern raised about a Title V inspection for the existing lot at 174 Harvard Road, passing that before the backland lot permit could be approved. My question was just to confirm the A&R was already approved for this by the town. I think that was brought up last meeting, but I just wanted to confirm if that was, I was remembering that correctly.
Yes, I believe so, because we only had 21 days to act on the A&R. And so in order to be able to construct on the property, you would, you need to do the backland lot special permit. So I know that the board typically asks for an extension for the A&R and just does it on one night. But yes, I believe it's already done. I don't know that it's been endorsed. I should double check that.
Okay. So about the Title V inspection on the existing property, we called 3 different inspectors. The earliest date we could get was July 28th, which is a week from today, to do that inspection. I spoke with Kristen Zinna, and she forwarded me to Bill Brookings at NABH, and I spoke with him twice on the phone, and he had told me that the Title V inspection wasn't necessarily a limiting factor for either the A&R or backland lot. He said it was necessary for it to pass Title V before it can actually be subdivided. But he said, and I'm paraphrasing him because I spoke to him on the phone. I didn't get an email from him. He was telling me that as far as the planning board is concerned, they're not beholden to that requirement. The Board of Health is. So once the Board of Health is notified, then the existing property must pass Title V to ensure that it's not a non-compliant lot after the subdivision.
Okay. So if we approve the subdivision and you don't pass Title V, what does he say is going to happen?
That's a very good question. It is actually my question to the planning board was, if the backland lot is approved and the A&R is approved and endorsed, is there another step that needs to take place before the lot can be subdivided and a deed can be generated? Or is that basically the final step before that can generate? Is there an additional public notary that has to be certified before then? What is the mechanism where the Board of Health is notified of this? Because he told me that the A&R planning board, the Board of Health never gets notified of that. So I didn't know what the mechanism. He says they only are concerned about Title V once the Board of Health is notified, but I wasn't sure, and I'm sure you guys have a much better idea of this, what the mechanism was that notifies the Board of Health. Because he says once they're notified, it must pass Title V. But until they're notified, they don't have any dealings with it.
Would you like me to take that one, Mark?
Yeah, please.
So you're right. The other boards and committees don't, get notice of an A&R. There's no comment that is needed from other boards. Essentially, what happens is the backland lot special permit is provided to that document is provided to other boards. If it's just an A&R, I believe at the point at which you would be building on it is when we would be going through all the different boards and individuals, town staff, reviewing the application at that point. So in my opinion, it wouldn't really have come up until you were looking for a building permit.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
So Mark, in the past, we've never really needed to worry about this for background lot and A&R. I mean, in my opinion, it's just, it's kind of a buyer beware. If they go off and sell it and the buyer doesn't, if it's an issue with the A&R. I mean, it just hasn't ever come up.
It's a lot with the existing house on it. Is the issue.
Right.
And I know we have had issues where people have subdivided and come back and not been and had to, because they subdivided away too much land, they weren't able to get an easy Title V, and had to go to a very expensive system to comply with Title V after the fact.
I don't think it's under the purview of the planning board, right? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think that's.
Right.
It's not in the bylaw.
I mean, we may want to think about that. I mean, there's no reason that the other boards shouldn't. It'd be like saying, we're not going to worry about, if there's wetlands. I mean, if there's wetlands, conservation will handle that eventually, hopefully. But, but I mean, it's something we need to think about because we shouldn't be kind of boxing other boards into the corner because we can't talk to each other within the same building. I mean, this should be pretty simple, straightforward. The engineers should know about it too, and should have told him up front that he needed to do this. But I mean, I'm at this point, he's kind of on notice that he's going to have to do this, and if there are problems, then he's on the hook for it. So, but I mean, when we're just subdividing a raw piece of land, it's not an issue. It's only when we're taking off of a house.
I think I'd be more concerned if the lot were closer to the house, but it's nowhere near it, and there's still plenty of land around the house.
Yeah, but we don't know what in general, we don't know what the condition of the land is. Is it wetland? Is it ledge? Is it what is it that's actually there? Just we could just because there's 4 acres left or whatever it is, we don't know what if that's even viable land. So. But,
no, I know. I guess the way I still look at it is it's the risk of the applicant to subdivide it and potentially not have buildable land. It's not under the purview of the planning board to require.
Again, it's not the buildable land. It's the existing house. We have an existing house. So
that's where put it. Yeah, sorry. You're right. But I still think it's at the risk of the applicant to do that and to back. I guess.
That's fine. I mean, we've put them on notice on this one. I think in general, board, if it's not raw land, I think the board, other boards need to at least be notified that it's in process. But it's a discussion for a different date, I think.
Okay.
But okay. I mean, given that, I guess. Can have I there any other comments, questions or comments from the board or the applicant?
Not as of right now. No, thank you.
Okay. Then
Want a motion? I can
take a motion on it. Yeah.
make a motion to approve the
Well,
backland lot.
do we
Oh.
close the hearing first and then
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to close the hearing.
second?
Roll call.
And yes,
No.
I'll just note first, prior to an approval on the special permits, just because it kicks, if we did vote tonight, it would kick off a 14-day deadline for providing the decision to the town clerk, and our next meeting is until the 11th. So I think we should, we'd have to hold off on approving the decision until August 11th at this point.
So we at least, but we'll
Okay.
close the hearing
We can close
today.
it.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll make the, we'll approve the decision at the next hearing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, so I'll remake the motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All right, all in favor, Mark Sprague,
Aye.
Pete Driscoll,
Aye.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Eric Nyland.
He said aye.
Okay,
heard
and
that.
Daniel Spicer.
Aye.
Okay. So I'll have that for review at our next hearing or next meeting.
Yes, that's right.
Good.
Thank you, Justin.
All right,
Okay,
thank you very much, Valerie. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yep.
All right, take care.
Okay, the next on the agenda is review and endorsement of subdivision A&R plan for 110 Still River Road, map 6A, parcel 9. So do we have the applicant or engineer or whoever?
Yes, David is here.
Okay,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is David Sadowski. I'm the principal of DJ and Associates. There was a land survey that was conducted at 110 Still River Road. There's an existing ranch house there with associated buildings. The mother wants to have a lot created for her son. It's a little bit under 7 acres. I'm losing my screen. It's a little bit under 3 acres. The lot is completely in Bolton. The remaining lot will be partially in Lancaster with the main structures and partially in Bolton. But since we're only subdividing out the Bolton piece, we only need endorsement, according to my licensed land surveyor, in the town of Bolton for that piece. The piece has 200 feet of frontage. It exceeds the 150 minimum lot width, and it has over 2 acres of contiguous upland. Actually, it's all upland itself. I'm open to any questions from the board.
okay, so where is the access? Is it across the, is there where the gas easement is, or is it, does it come in somewhere else? Wasn't
No, if
clear on
you
the
actually,
plan.
if you can zoom in, there's an access way that's shown on the plans. There's a gravel way that currently goes in and goes around the corral section. That'll be used. There's also there's been testing done on the lot. There's a plan that's before Nashoba. There's also loggers there from Blanche Flower that are taking down some of the trees. The Nashoba Associated Board of Health can't issue a building permit, can't issue a septic system design approval until the subdivision is endorsed and recorded at the Registry of Deeds. We are aware that Title V does need to be done in Lancaster. I'm a licensed soil evaluator. My number is 13830, and I have conducted that Title V on the existing property, and it does pass.
Okay. Okay. I don't think I have any questions at the moment. Anybody else on the board have any?
No, I think that answered it all for me.
Okay. Anybody else on the call have any questions about this? Okay, then I guess we'll have a similar to the previous hearing. So I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
No, there's no hearing.
Oh,
hearing.
this isn't a hearing. Oh, this is just a straight.
This is just an A&R, not a special
Okay,
permit.
okay, so we don't need any, so
So
we
we
can
can
just approve this and we'll have this, okay,
I'll make it a motion to approve the A&R for 110 Still River Road, map 6A, parcel 9.
Second.
okay, roll call.
Mark Sprague,
Yes,
Peter Driscoll,
Aye.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Eric Nyland,
All right.
Daniel Spicer.
Aye.
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you very much for your time. I know that you're all volunteers.
okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is a South Bolton Road subdivision concept plan for map 2C parcels 23 and 24.
Yes. Jeff, is your engineer present at this point?
He is not.
He's
No.
not. Okay. So Mark,
Are
the
you expecting him or?
Yeah, he unfortunately he had another planning board meeting that he said he texted me saying he's on right now, like actually talking. So
Do we want to jump to the environmental pools?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that we
That'd
jump,
be awesome.
take care of
And
a
we can
couple
come
other things
back.
first.
sure.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, we'll come back to Keys Farm in a moment. So it's environmental pools, 237 Main Street, special permit deliberation and vote. Okay. So the special permit was in our packets. Were there any questions, concerns, corrections from anybody?
I can point to a few areas that I would like to discuss a little bit further, if that's helpful.
Yep, that's
Um,
great.
So I'll pull it up just in case you all, so that you can all see it. Let me see. Where did I put it?
Yeah, there are a couple things that are highlighted in here.
Yes, exactly. So I think just along the lines of, what the board typically requests as far as pedestrian access or bicycle facilities, I'm just wondering, what might be useful to put in this decision. So I believe it's on page 7. Sorry. So this is language, condition 7 is, so the premises shall have easy and safe pedestrian access to and from the sites, accessible sidewalks that are ADA and ABB compliant with painted crosswalks will be provided. This is language taken from other special permits for sites in the limited business district. I believe this was on the decision for 626 Main Street, as well as the Country Cupboard parcel. Those are both parcels that have a lot more, pedestrian activity anyway. There are more people coming and going. It's clear that there was also a part about bike racks being provided in those decisions. And, it strikes me that at a pool installation facility, you're not likely to have a customer who might be bicycling. You could have a staff member. And I know that along that section of 117, there aren't sidewalks. But I'm wondering, is this the board's, intended way of producing sidewalks? So is this something that you would like to condition?
So I guess maybe I'm just trying to clarify this. With regard to the bike racks, is this just to ask to provide a space for bike racks? Because I see number 7 and 8 highlights. Sorry, I've also got it on my right screen, so I'm just looking at it. So there's two things. I mean, one, the accessible entrance. I mean, I think that no matter what, where it's located, needs to be ADA and AAB compliant. So that we want to keep in there. But
Well, that was for sidewalks, though. That's what that line says.
Oh, I see. It says accessible. Well, but I would assume that would be sidewalks within the site. Like anytime you have sidewalks within the site.
So
I mean, I
just
think
talking
they
about
need to have a
sidewalks.
sidewalk in front of their building, right?
Maybe
So
they don't
I
have
think
to.
like with 626, you know, there's sidewalk along 117.
Yeah.
So I think part of the special permit was to maintain and improve that sidewalk.
Okay,
be-
yeah. So I don't think we need to condition anything along 117 because, as you said, one, there's no existing sidewalks there. I think we were trying to implement new sidewalks in front of the areas along 117 where the country cupboard and other. It's more of that kind of. I know it's not downtown, but more of that area where the town is looking to have a pedestrian connection. So I guess I would say if there's a condition there that there's an ADA accessible route from the parking to the building, that's what we want to keep in there. Certainly, I don't think the intention was any sidewalks in front of along 117, and for this parcel, I don't think is necessarily needed.
Yeah. I think when there's sidewalks along this section, I think it's going to be a major project to add them along the entire road.
Yeah, and we didn't bring it up during the hearing. It wasn't asked at that point, so to add it in now, I think is not appropriate.
Yeah.
Basically, but I think there absolutely should be a condition within the site that there just needs to be an ADA accessible route. So that, I think that was, we talked about that. I think he mentioned during the grading that they showed that. So I think that's in compliance with what they've already shown on their design plans. So I would just tweak this to basically say the premise shall have an ADA and AAB compliant access from the parking to the building.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I love the idea of providing, well, this doesn't say bike racks. So I guess
No.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, I had
think
taken that part out.
Okay.
But we could still.
I mean, parking spaces off of Route 17 isn't needed on this one. They have plenty of parking on site. So there is no off-site parking need. I mean, they've demonstrated that they actually have more than that's needed with regard to our bylaws. So I would remove number 8. I don't think it is needed for this one.
Well, no, I think this is if they gate the access road, you know, when they're closed. I don't. Are there adjacent trails to this parcel? There are.
Yeah, there are. Pardon?
No, go ahead.
Yes, there are, and this was a comment that we received from the conservation agents, just noting that this was a previous discussion that the Concom had with the Trails Committee as well, and the applicant. And I think when we discussed it, it seemed like putting parking spaces in the interior of the site wouldn't really work because there was the intention of having a gate there. But what we hadn't really followed through on is a request, like I phrased here, for parking to be outside of that gate, more along 117. But it's, you know,
is there any trailheads outside there to park next to? I mean, the applicant didn't want, wanted to put up the gate, so because it could be potentially dangerous for people to be walking on their property, and I don't think they wanted people up there when they weren't there. I mean, if there's no trailheads right next to the gate, I don't see why we would require parking there.
Yeah, I don't actually know exactly where the trailhead was. I really just put these two in here just to see how you all would react.
I am. I think
I'm
it's
just
hard
curious.
Yeah, just say, I think it's hard to ask them to
Yeah.
provide parking spaces off of Route 117 at this point. They
Yeah.
haven't
Yep.
provided it as part of their plan. We didn't bring it up. I see what you're saying. We brought up the idea of providing parking outside their gated area for access to the trailheads, but I guess I haven't seen anything from them that they would be able to provide that. And that's kind of a big thing to provide parking off of 117. Because
This is not applicable to anything here. Like there are no trails up
That's what I'm saying.
in that property that the town was using that property to access. So even if there's a trail somewhere off of 117, like who cares? It's not environmental pools problem to provide parking for those. Like
where was it?
I think we do this when we remove, like in Goose Pond Path, when we, you know,
Oh yeah, there was trails that went right through the site.
It's for something like that, where we wanted to provide parking, I think inside and outside, to get to a trail that people were previously using. Like, I don't think that exists in this property. It's not that I've seen to this point.
You just get rid of those two or change 7 how.
I would
if you wanna
change 7. Yes.
Change it to.
Tweak it to the within the site premise, and I'd remove 8. Valerie, when you were saying that was it the Concom that was requesting this?
They were wondering if this could be part of the decision, yes. Or the conservation agent was reminding me of, or telling me of a previous conversation that had happened.
And was that previous conversation? I'm just trying to think. Unfortunately, it didn't go. Was that within the Conservation Commission or was that within the planning board?
It was not brought to the planning board. It was with the, I think the trails, I think she was saying the Trails Committee, Conservation Agent, and another entity. It might have been, I'm not sure exactly who it was. I don't have that email here.
I would feel hard pressed to add that provision in at this point.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, I think it sounds simple, but I think there's a lot more involved in that than.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, so I think taking out number 8 and rewording 7.
Yeah, sure.
And even 7, is 7 covered by just like the building inspector? Like if they put in a commercial.
So it's because the building inspector is only looking within the building, so it doesn't cover the site stuff. So it doesn't cover site access. So
it doesn't cover the entrance to the building, because that's what we're talking about here, right?
No, we're actually talking about making sure that from the parking, like they have handicap parking spaces. So from those parking spaces all the way to the building, that there's an ADA access. And I'm 99% positive, we reviewed this because I remember bringing it up that they showed that with the grading on the plan. So they have that. Okay. It's just a reiteration that it's required. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. So if there are no other questions or comments, was that the only things, Valerie?
Those are the only ones that I had highlighted, just because I knew that they were pretty out there. But we can walk through the other decision or conditions if you want to, or if there are any that the board had a particular question on. Really, the only plan modification that is needed is the update to the landscape and lighting plan once the applicant goes through the Conservation Commission's process. So I just noted that they would need to provide that plan to the board for your review and approval prior to endorsement of the plans.
Okay. Yeah, and are they close on both of those, or are they still hashing out major issues?
I don't know. I think they've been to one meeting of the Conservation Commission. It seems that it's a pretty simple fix, so that they know that there's one light fixture that they need to shift over a few feet, and then they're looking to to verify the species planted within the berm or around the perimeter of the berm. So I would be looking for that plan to be in line with the last letter that we received from the from our consulting engineer.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Do you want a motion for the amendments and a motion to approve it, or just one motion to combine?
The motion can just say, you know, as amended.
Okay.
We'll make a motion to approve the special permit decision for environmental pools at 357 Main Street as amended.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mark Sprague,
Aye.
Pete Driscoll,
Aye.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Eric Nyland,
Aye.
and Daniel Spicer.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. The engineer for South Bolton here yet, or?
He's still talking on the other planning board meeting. If needed, I can go over it if we're out of other things.
No, we have one other thing. It's just
Okay.
it's a fairly lengthy one, so I wanted to get you out of here if he was available.
He's still.
Or if you feel comfortable going over it, that's fine too.
Yeah, I don't mind waiting.
Okay. Okay. The next on the agenda is Keys Farm Subdivision. Review of stormwater pollution prevention plan reports. Review and vote on bond reduction request and discussion of next steps. Okay. So I don't know if anybody looked at any of the stormwater reports. Danielle, I'm sure you went through all of them.
No. I guess, you know, Valerie, was Niche able to review them, and do they have any comments on them?
Yeah. Let me think about this. So I don't have in writing a review of them by Niche, which is acceptable. I would say that that the reports don't, in my opinion, don't appear to conform with what we'd be looking for, and we're following up as needed with advice from town council.
Can you detail that a little bit more, or like what are you not getting?
Yeah, we can look through them. So I should also just note that the applicant is not going to be attending tonight. So I had hoped to ask for an explanation of what we were seeing on these reports, but they are not interested. So let me try to find these.
Yeah, I browsed through a few of them today. I mean, there were some, and I don't know whether they're just typos or just incorrect information or what, but all of the ones that I looked at, I probably looked at a dozen of them, and they all say that there was no weather, that it was just a normal weekly report with no, with nothing special triggering it, but then it says, how much rainfall was there, and it says, and they all say, ½ inch. So it was kind of weird that, that sort of thing was in there. I can get the, was inspection triggered by a 1/4 inch storm event and they all say no, but then total rainfall amount that triggered the inspection is all listed as a 1/2 inch. So.
Wait, I'm sorry. Explain that again. What we're saying, Mark?
So there's a section on the report that says, was this inspection triggered by a 1/4 inch storm event? And all the ones that I looked at all said had no checked.
Okay.
But then 2 lines down from there, it says total rainfall amount that triggered the inspection. And they're all listed as a 1/2 inch.
So just as a quick clarification, these inspections can be done 2 different ways. One, they have to do, like this says, it's weekly inspection. So they could be doing inspection during dry weather, and that's fine. Or they could be doing inspection if there is a rainfall event that's greater than a 1/4 inch.
Right.
So I apologize. I haven't been able to go through them. That's why I was kind of hoping we'd get something from Niche, just kind of
Sure.
what their thoughts were.
Yeah, so I was looking here just in the section just below the inspection frequent. Yeah, right there, right where your cursor is there.
So I think,
by a storm event, you know.
so I think, perhaps this is something that you circle, or I'm not sure, but I do not believe any of the reports were noted to be triggered by a 1/4 inch rainfall event. So
I guess that would be a concern, is what I would have. So I understand that they're doing weekly inspections, and that's great. And when they're doing those inspections, clearly that doesn't need to be circled or whatever, but we all know, I had my basement flooded a week ago because of our torrential rains that we had. We've definitely had rain that's been over a 1/4 inch. And that's where we would want it to be kind of highlighted and noted. So I understand. So that you're trying to get that clarification from them.
I was trying to get that one. I've requested the signature on them all. I've requested, one question that I would like to have had the opportunity to ask is, there are at least a dozen or so of these that, happened around the time of other site concerns, and those site concerns were not reflected in the comments or observations or the measures that they would need to take to rectify concerns on site. So
one thing I would ask is, and it might just be in a different form, is did they do any corrective action forms that they filled out separately?
That's a good question.
So because the way the SWIFT document works is, this site inspection is kind of really just kind of a checklist of all the different things that they kind of need to go through. So if they did corrective actions, they may be filling out a separate form and noting those corrective actions within that form.
But you would expect that at least some of these would have fallen into times when they were taking corrective action. So I think that's where a big part of the concern is. I know I just picked looking at some of the ones in 2020, and there's only 24 reports provided, so, weekly, we're missing, at least 28 reports there.
You can actually do them either weekly or every 17 days. There is an allowance for 17. You'd have to review the original SWIP report, and it notes what the frequency should be because it's based on the
what they have checked there is weekly for all of them. So, there's not an option on the form for 17 days.
Sorry, 14 days.
14 days. I think, 14 days. I think there was an allowance, but they all have weekly checked. So again, is this just sloppy paperwork, or is it and even if it was biweekly, there's still at least a couple of reports that are missing. So
we haven't
I think
received
there's
reports since we asked through the enforcement. So we have had significant rains in the past few weeks, and I haven't received anything.
Yeah.
So they'd stop sending us the reports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out, what the best course of action is here. Of course, having your stormwater reporting up to date is a condition of the special permit. So I'm trying to just, follow through with the advice I'm getting to the best I can. So I'm not sure how much I can really say at this point. Like much further information I have for you at this point.
Okay.
But if there are any questions, I can try to jot them down and find some answers.
I mean, I think that there was 3 items we've got on this talking about this, and I guess and you may not be able to answer this tonight due to where things stand. I'm just trying to think of the discussion for next steps.
So, one thing the board should look at tonight is the request for the bond reduction and the advice that we've received from our consulting engineers. I don't know if you've all had a chance to review that. Would it be helpful if I brought
can you
one of those up? Would you like to see the bond request?
Niche essentially recommended not releasing any bond, right? They noted enough stuff in the report that requires money, right? That was how I interpreted Niche's.
Yeah, they had 3 main concerns, and at the end, they said with those 3 things, he wouldn't recommend returning anything.
Right, but so there are other items that could be cause for a reduction. So there was, I'm not sure if it's helpful for me to pull up the bond reduction request, or Niche's review here. I'll go for the bond reduction request and see how far we get.
Yeah, let's start there and we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that Niche was commenting on was, even though, some of the stuff is marked as being, 100% complete, it's not necessarily, the finished pavement was, is marked as 100%, but when, but like there's some repairs that need to be made, and there's the driveway transitions that need to be done. So, things like that, when you start backing those off from, 100% to something else, then a lot of the reduction disappears, or a lot of the reduction request disappears. So, okay.
Right. So the first item, Niche had no comments on that. So that's, just over 31,000. For the next 2, the bituminous binder coat and top course, he recommended withholding 20% of each of those, which would be, just over 15,000 for the binder coat, just over, or 11,000 for the top course. So that still allows some reduction there. So we're at about 90,000 even just after that. The berm, he was fine with. The granite curbing, he's fine with. The sidewalk also looked like he was okay. Steve was okay with releasing those funds. And then the street trees, he was saying withhold all of that, as those trees have not been planted. He approved the reduction of the handicap ramps and loaming and 80% of the loam and seed, the guardrail installation. But then after that, he's saying, don't touch anything on the 3 basins. So then we come down to the second page on other items. I think down here, it was really just, he wants to withhold about $2,400 from the trees behind the detention basin, but release the other $3,450. And then lastly, just the fieldstone head wall. Would be reduced. So I haven't actually added that all up, but I wanted the board to at least discuss, what your thoughts are here on just reducing the items that niche has not called out, and understanding that we will need to at least hold on to 10% of the original bond amount.
So I think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say in general, and we've talked about this before, I think at one point, maybe it was Century Mill or 147 Long Hill, I mean, we were getting very frequent bond reductions. We talked about maybe like max, setting 1, 2, or 3 max reductions. But I mean, when niche engineering suggesting that we hold on to it, I mean, we don't know what other can of worms are going to be opened. I don't know. It's tough. We've definitely reduced the bond and made ourselves short to the point of having no recourse really. Like definitely on 147 Long Hill, to the point of there were issues and we wouldn't have bond to fix it anyway, even if we took it. So I don't know. I don't know what town council says, but maybe we only have 2 reductions, one in the middle and one at the end, but reducing all the way down to nothing. It just seems risky with this property.
So yeah, it seems like it is best to take the engineer's advice at this point.
I guess I would certainly not want to reduce the bond where niche has said we shouldn't.
Yeah.
I think I feel very strongly on that. However, I think on items where niche has said this has been completed, it's okay. Legally, I don't think we can hold that back. So I think that needs to be considered to be released.
Yeah, I think as long as we keep it at the, don't fall below the 10%. The 10% to, for repairs over the winter or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and nothing's, we're still going to keep at least the minimum of the 10%.
Yeah.
Well, so can you clear up for me then what they mean by that last paragraph where they say niche engineering does not recommend any additional bond reduction at this time due to the extent of the outstanding items that require completion. Niche engineering notes that the planning board can vote to reduce or continue to hold the bond at their discretion. Are they saying the entire bond we're holding, or are they saying what they said not to hold? Because they did list those 3 items, but then that last paragraph doesn't really, go along with what they said before it. So it's a little confusing, but.
I think what they're saying is just that, that's their recommendation, but we can do what we want to. We can take their advice or not, kind of thing.
No, but are they recommending that we don't do, I guess what Eric's asking is, are they recommending that we don't do any bond reduction, or are they actually recommending we, release the bond based on their recommendations?
I think I know that they are of the personal opinion that if they had their druthers, they wouldn't reduce it at all. They understand that the planning board is held to certain provisions, and that I think that what Steve is saying here is professionally he can't recommend any additional bond reduction further than what he has said on page 1 and those 8 items on the second page. So
So he's saying don't. So he's saying don't reduce more than what he suggested in those numbers 1 through 3.
And then also the 1 through 8 on the second page, they're saying not to release anything related to that as well. At least that's how I'm interpreting this. So
yeah, I see that. Basically, the finished construction of stormwater basins nothing should be released. Nothing should be released with completing remaining loam and seed. Nothing should be released with installed concrete bounds along the right of way, removing erosion control, installing trees along moderator way for the approved plans, traffic signs associated with motorway, cleaning the drainage system and roadway sweeping prior to final acceptance, and providing an as-built. All of those have not been have not been completed, is my understanding.
I mean, in the past, when we've had these bond reductions, at least to my recollection, is the developer would submit the spreadsheet with complete and this is the amount, and then we would kind of get a line by line response from our engineers saying yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. And then if there were any issues where there wasn't an agree, we could discuss them with the engineer and ask why. I mean, they provided the letter about some things they don't agree with, but it'd be helpful for them to go through it line by line and say, yes, it's done acceptably, or no, it's not. And then, we could have that. I kind of agree that this letter from them is, it calls out some things that are not done, but that last paragraph is confusing.
okay.
Sorry. Are we clear that we have to reduce bond whenever they suggest, or can we do it on can we define the the intervals, or whenever somebody, okay, I finished 1% of the job, I want that part of the bond back,
I don't
what
think
are we obligated to do?
I think honestly, when the contractor has completed the item and he can demonstrate, it was constructed per the approved plans, the engineer signs off that was done, he has a right to collect that bond. We do not have any right to hold that up, unfortunately.
And I think if we want to look at, putting in place, a fewer number of bond releases, I think, that would have to be part of the special permit.
It would have to be noted early on so that they were aware of the timing for that. And I don't even know if legally we can do that. That would be something we would need to ask whether that can be put in, because I know legally when they're completed it, they're allowed to submit a request and have it reviewed. I think what we're trying to do is just confirm what our engineer is okay with signing off with.
Yeah.
So Valerie, we don't have a marked up kind of bond estimate with items that are not questionable?
No, this letter is all I have. So I can go back to them and get clarification on that last paragraph, and then ask for them to kind of mark up the bond estimate so that it's very clear exactly what what amount the niche is recommending that we reduce the bond by. So I can have that on our agenda for the 11th for the board to vote on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure the developer won't be happy with that, but that's fine.
Could we consider, like, say, things that are complete, like berms or whatever, that could be damaged from other things that aren't correctly done? Is that something we could hold out, or, you know, if we deem it necessary? I don't know.
If
I'm not sure an example.
for future, if there was a future issue with a berm.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's stormwater issues. So if something on that list is considered done and complete, but it could be damaged from something that's not complete. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so if his plows, you know, destroy all of the berm over the winter and we've released all that money, you know, where's the money to repair them? That's
I would.
Mark is getting at.
Yeah, I would
that's one
say
example.
that's why we hold on to that 10%.
Yeah, I don't think some of that you can only go so far. I think the intent is the 10% contingency for if there is some damage, but certainly you can't hold something for a future thing that you just don't know is going to happen or not.
Right,
What is the 10% on this bond?
It's just over 68,000.
Okay.
So essentially, you know, if there is issues over the winter, if you know berms are impacted, it would impact the developer's ability to get road acceptance, and then we're using the bond to complete the road. We're asking them to complete the road.
Is 10%, is that in the bylaws? Where's the 10% from? Or is that standard, you know, in Massachusetts, or what's?
I'm not sure exactly where it says that.
Mhm.
It might be in our rules and regs. It could be a town policy.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to make sure that, you know, if we reduce to the 68 or whatever, and then he disappears over the winter, you know, what if 10% can't cover it? I mean, I don't know how we determine if 10% is right or not.
I don't think, unfortunately, at this point, it's in our special there. It's in the decision, so it can't be changed at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so going a little further, not to hit this one a little too hard, but I also wanted you all to see the memo from the DPW director regarding the performance of the road during, I believe it was July 8th, during that Friday that we got significant rain. So in case you all haven't seen that, he just shared this as a point of fact, opinion removed, just trying to think about, safety of residents and, what would happen if the town accepted the road tomorrow, and what would, the road's performance look like. So I will share that.
Was that on the webpage or no?
Yes, I think it is.
I think
okay, yeah.
Because I didn't see it earlier.
Yeah, I just got this today.
Oh, okay, yeah, I looked a few days ago.
I'm just going to leave this up so you all can just read through it, and I'll scan through. So this is the driveway of 71 Moderator Way, just showing water sheeting over the driveway itself, and then also along Moderator Way. I mean, obviously you can't capture rainfall exactly where it lands, but this type of situation does not seem acceptable. So again, noting at 75 that the stone basin does not seem to be effective. As you can see, there's all this overflow, and it's creating these ruts as water heads to, again, the driveway of 71 and to Moderator Way itself. So again, just noting ponding water here, and Randy is noting that there's accumulated sediment within that area. So here he's, noting that looks like the water is flowing right off Moderator Way, and about this width right here is all that water. So a lot of it does appear to be missing this basin. I'm not sure, if the cross slope is, or the crown of the road is high enough or what have you, but at least on this day, it does look like the water is not being conveyed to the drains, and which is causing, he's also noting water sheeting over the sidewalk. But the water that's missing those drains is creating this problem where it's just going right over Hudson Road and creating a safety and maintenance issue for Hudson Road itself. So his comment earlier about, if you consider, depending on how you interpret the bylaw, if you consider Moderator Way a driveway, it would not be able to deposit this much water onto another street. So I recognize that he is raising some questions that we might want to discuss for the long term for other future projects that come up. As far as, you know, what the driveway regulations, how they should be interpreted. But I think the focus, you know, we should be kept on, at least for now, on what our next steps are at Moderator Way. And I was hoping the developers would be able to be here today to be able to, you know, speak to the performance of the road and steps for mitigation. But unfortunately, I don't have any comment from them.
Yeah.
Can we also forward, has Nitch got a copy of this from the DPW?
Yes,
I know you got it yesterday or today.
Today, actually, yes. I think it was dated the 20th, but I just received it today. So of course, you know, they haven't been able to
to review
provide
it and
input on that.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of goes back to what I was saying before. I mean, you can break down the bond however it is, but you know, there's the potential here that if he just left, it would cost us more than $250,000 to, you know, fix. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you break it down, but it's not in a good state. And I think breaking it down to, you know, this for electrical and this for trees. I mean, we're lucky if 250,000 could fix what's there.
Yeah, it's rough. Because I understand that, and then also I do understand that it's, unfortunately, you know, you're only able to withhold money for certain items that are not 100% complete, or that are not complete.
Well, so I mean, the stuff that's complete though, like, you know, we're talking about basins. I mean, it all leads back to the overall system. You know, if it can't handle, you know, the numbers are wrong then, you know, how they were bonded out, I guess, for this particular project at least.
I'm following when you say the numbers are wrong.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, so we're left with 250,000. And, you know, if he left today, could we get this in order for 250,000? That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, however you break it down. It would probably be cheaper for him to just leave right now. Really. I don't know. If we're gonna not waive things, you know, water releasing to where it should be.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think on a lot of that we need, I mean, it's not just, you know, what does he need to get the bond money back, but what does the town need to do to, you know, protect our citizens as well. So
yeah,
exactly.
And I think, you know, clearly a check of cross slopes and, you know, something like that, you know, with the plan against the conditions out there. I mean, we know of some of these issues we've known about and how, but some of these additional ones are showing some other concerns.
So like, what's the timing of the as-built? That's after winter? I mean, could we not reduce bond until we get an as-built?
No, the as-built is just a requirement of road acceptance, so we just need that.
Right. But that usually turns up issues, right? Like that don't match up to the plans.
Well, I think we could obviously ask for the as-built sooner, just noting some of these, saying we want to actually, you know, if they could provide an as-built sooner rather than later, we could review that with regard to the approved plan, but they're technically not required to do it till later. But we had asked, excuse me, that on, I'm going to forget what project that was, and partly that was because, you know, I think, you know, we're not going to feel comfortable with road acceptance noting these issues that we're seeing. So if we can review the as-built and that has a potential to show where the issues might be, and maybe it's more isolated, it's a smaller issue that's fixed and then it's not as big of an issue, but I mean, they can get us the as-built whenever they want. It's just, I think getting it to us sooner rather than later allows us to review it and more isolate the issues, which I would think would be beneficial for them. But it's really in their hands.
I mean, I think from the report from DPW, I think, you know, there's spot things that we can go and you know, have them review, you know, like, you know, if we look at, you know, the runoff along the road not getting intercepted by the stormwater drains. I mean, you know, why, you know, is the road not crowned sufficiently there? Is there something else going on that, you know, they misengineered? You know, what is it that's causing that?
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily misengineered. It's how it was constructed. I think the engineering plans clearly showed what was intended and what was meant by it. So was it constructed according to the plans? And short of an as-built, I mean, next time we could actually have Niche out there. I mean, they can bring a smart level just to get some rough ideas of where does the grade change. But really, an as-built is what we'd want to look along the entire roadway.
Right.
Yeah, because past projects, I mean, when we did the as-built, you know, we were at a point where we're like, okay, well, if we were to truly fix this, it's more than the bond we hold, you know.
Yeah, and clearly the as-built will show where there's issues. So, I mean, that's kind of the last thing that we review when everything seems like it's okay, but where we're seeing major issues. I mean, it would be great since it's, you know, we've had the top coat done, is if they could provide us with an as-built to review earlier to identify, so, you know, maybe where some spot issues are that could be addressed. And clearly that needs to be engineered.
Yeah. Has the developer received a copy of the DPW write-up?
I don't believe I've shared that. No.
Okay.
I can send that to their council.
Yeah, because when they start complaining about bond reduction and, you know, and then they're, you know, we're highlighting, you know, potentially significant issues, I think that, you know, that you know, should tamp them down a little bit about, you know, that they're, you know, that we're singling them out for not releasing bond money.
Yeah.
You know, if they can show us another development that has similar issues that we're waiving, then, you know, that's, you know, then maybe we are singling out, but
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not even sure what the next, what to suggest for the next steps. I mean, you know, we need them to, you know, review what's, you know, what we've, you know, both what Niche has discussed and what DPW has said, and, you know, we need to get an answer from them on what the causes are and how they're going to fix it. And then,
Yeah, I mean, I think we should at least have a course of action before there's any consideration of bond reduction. I don't know.
I mean, I think we need clarification from Niche on, you know, which items they think we can reduce or not reduce. And then we need to, you know, factor in, you know, like we say, yeah, the drainage basins are completed, but if, you know, if 3/4 of the water is bypassing them, then we really don't know if they're, you know, up to the job or not. You know, so I think, you know, so I think there's some other things that need to get, you know, addressed before we can really, you know, say that the whole system is working as expected. So, okay. Not sure if that gives us sufficient next steps, but you know, it's kind of hard to decide what the next steps need to be when the developer isn't available to, you know, discuss it.
So I'll continue pressing with the stormwater reports. You know, we haven't met since our June 24th site walk. And at that meeting, there were some there was some discussion of a solution or, possible next steps, mitigation measures for the slope behind lots 1 through 4. So that's another thing that we can continue to ask about. And then other than that, I will, go back to niche and look for more clarification on exactly which items should be reduced and what their comments are in a spreadsheet form, and make sure that they're incorporating the DPW's comments in that as well. Perhaps that might change, some thinking there.
Yeah, I know at the sidewalk, and one of the, I think it was their engineer brought up the possibility of changing basin 3 to a constructed wetland instead of an infiltrating basin. So we need clarification on that, and we need to make sure all that sort of work is engineered properly.
Yeah, there was definitely a bunch of punch list items, or I wouldn't say punch, yeah, but items that were discussed during that site visit that I believe Dillis and Roy we're going to get back to the town and niche with some corrective actions of what needed to be done. Have we received anything from them on those items? No. Okay.
What I have received is another item we should discuss tonight. Which I put on the site, the request for comment on receiving a partial COC from the Conservation Commission. But that's it. So again, still my communication with Dillis and Roy has been more about Conservation Commission issues, and it's seemingly apparent that they're not necessarily always representing the full site. So let me just pull that one up. I don't know if you've been able to review that request. And the board can comment or not on this request. It's really, it's really a matter for the Conservation Commission to decide. They'll have the final word here. So.
Is this just to remove the erosion controls?
Sorry. I guess I didn't actually fully, yes, it is. It's to remove the silt fencing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like I didn't actually put the document on there. Let me find it.
Has Conservation Commission signed off on the removal of the erosion controls?
No, they meet next on the 27th, and so this will be on their agenda that night. So they have not received this yet.
So I would not want to approve removal of anything without their permission, considering they have jurisdiction of the erosion sediment control since there's nearby wetlands. So once they are okay with that, then I would think we could agree with that. I just wouldn't want to. I mean, I guess there's two things. There's the request, partial request for the certificate of compliance, and then there's the removal of the erosion controls. We can condition the removal of the erosion controls that we're okay with removing them as long as the Conservation Commission signs off on that.
Yeah, I couldn't open the document, so I'm not quite sure what we're what we're approving. So
right, and I think, from what I remember at the site visit, at that point it seemed like, maybe removing some of them is okay, maybe not around Basin 2. And then again, when I saw those photos from the DPW director, it looked like they really were retaining, they were holding back water around Basin 2. So, they may be necessary at this point still. So this is prior to the mowing, so it's a little bit hard to see what's going on. But this is the fencing that was appearing to hold back water off of that slope around Basin 2.
But it's all stabilized, like all of this area is stabilized, right?
It is, yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm not seeing an issue with the removal of the erosion controls as long as Conservation Commission is also okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Is the rest of the board in agreement?
I mean, I think, from the pictures they provided, to me, it looks like, the areas are stabilized. So I don't think I don't think they're required anymore. But I don't know if they cherry picked certain well stabilized areas to get pictures of.
It seemed, I mean, when we were on site, at least with regard to where those erosion controls, it seemed to be like they were stabilized. So in this instance, like for this thing, I would say it seems reasonable to remove them. Again, with approval from the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, I think possibly, with the exception of possibly the erosion control around Basin 2, it did look like it was still providing us still working. I think that was the area that the DPW director was questioning.
Which one is that? Where is that?
The area around
Okay.
This area.
Yeah.
So is that the area where there's still, the DPW is saying that there's still sediment showing up, or am I misunderstanding?
So I think this was actually a photo that did not make it into the into his memo, or I think it was a photo that did not make it to the memo that showed water being held back around here. So perhaps it's still needed at that point, given that the brook, is just on the other side of that, basically. I don't know.
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I think the engineers need to do the work to make sure there's no sediment that,
Yeah, if there's sediment ponding on the upstream side of the silt fence, then it shouldn't be removed.
Oh yeah, Liz Hutchins of 75 Moderator Way is saying that the photo that I'm referring to actually was submitted from her. So thank you.
Okay.
I remember on a site visit on Basin 3, that large slope.
Yeah.
Was that taken or was that washed out in the rain that we had? Does anyone know?
The last time I saw it, it looked like 70% of the grass was coming in. It seemed like there was a strip that towards Hudson Road. So not towards the cul-de-sac area, but towards the Hudson Road side seemed like it was lagging at that point. I should go in and look.
in Basin 2, they had also just hydroseeded, and I think the comments from the residents are that it's not necessarily completely taken either. So
Okay. All right. Well, I can provide that comment that maybe aside from the fencing that was holding back the water, it seems reasonable to remove the rest as long as the Conservation Commission has approved it.
Yeah, can I just understand from the, whether it's from the residents or from which area is not stabilized? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I'm not sure, what the resident is referring to necessarily, but in my, from what I've seen, there's still areas along, again, the slope of lots 1 through 4.
Okay, so it's along behind there, that slope area, that it may make sense to continue to keep the erosion sediment control there until that is stabilized. Okay.
Right, yeah, and I mean, there's still showing, so those photos from the DPW director is also showing that some of the ponding around the driveway transitions has sediment in it. So, perhaps there's erosion control that's needed along the driveways as well. But that's not, I know it's not part of their request, but that again relates to the bond and removal of erosion control measures as part of the bond.
I think we're all, honestly, we're all confused about any sort of erosion control, whether it's.
I'm sorry, I think that someone's speaking. I can't really hear very well, but I'm not sure that I'm going to put you on mute. I'm not sure that the chair has asked for comment at this point. So if there are any, if any other board members have comment on the response to Conservation Commission, let me know.
Okay, I mean, I think guess we can open it up for comments if nobody else on the board has anything else.
No, I think we're not approving the removal of the erosion sediment controls around that slope for Basin 3.
Okay.
I would also just say, I'm not sure if the board would rather direct resident comment to emails and written comments, or if you do want to take comments. I'm not sure, at this point, whether that would add
to the decision,
to the discussion here.
Yeah, I mean, and unless unless something directly pertains to like in this case the sediment and erosion control. Are there the picture, for the most part the pictures look like that it's done its job, and that the areas around around there have been are well vegetated at this point. So I guess if there's areas that's not the case, we might like to know about that, but that can be here or in writing. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think I think in general we can we can we don't have any objections to the Conservation Commission removing the area, deciding whether they want to remove allow the removal of the silt fencing or not. I don't think there's anything that we had an issue with there.
I would no. I actually, Mark, I think what we're saying is We are actually not okay with the removal of the silt fence around the slope or around Basin 3, but anywhere else where they're asking if the Concom is also okay with that, we would be okay with that, but not in those areas.
Okay, yeah. Not behind lots 1 through 4 and around Basin 3. I think of the
The two areas still of concern.
yeah. Okay.
I think they have a long way to go to get that those areas stabilized.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Was there anything else that we need to do for moderator way tonight? I mean, I think we've got
I mean, yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's all I have for tonight.
okay. Okay, well, I'm sure it'll be on the August meeting as well, so yeah, I think we should have the details on the bond reduction requests and hopefully some other issues resolved or to discuss at that point. Okay. Then we'll move on to I think the last item is the
South
Bolton Road subdivision concept plan, map 2C, parcels 23 and 24.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You shifting me around.
Yeah.
So my name is Jeff Motha. I'm putting together an open space plan. My engineer, Brian Millis, is also on the call with us. We've met with Valerie and Rebecca a couple times, just trying to get our ducks in a row. We were hoping to really put forth a plan that is correct and accepted and not have to go through a ton of meetings. So to do so, we were just hoping to kind of get any comments on what we have, because we want to develop the open space plan to submit that appropriately for the next appropriate meeting. I don't know if you can, Valerie, if you can bring up the plans.
Sure. Would you rather do it on your screen or would you like me to? It's either way.
If you want to, that would be great.
Okay.
Actually, Valerie, I think I have a copy teed up and I could probably give a little better tour as we figure out what we want to talk. So just prior to that, I want to sincerely apologize to the board. I was kind of stuck on another Zoom meeting and I really, really do appreciate your patience. I hate when that happens, I guess. So I'm Brian with Whitman and Bingham. And if I can share the screen. And can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I did it right. So selfishly speaking, I've been working with Jeff. This is a piece of property out on South Bolton Road. My firm, Whitman and Bingham, we were involved in this piece quite some time ago, but it never really came forward for one reason or another. So we've been working with Jeff to try to put together, a subdivision plan that we can kind of be proud of and be put in front of the board. I'll walk you around the property in a second, but it's kind of a good spot for a Fosburg plan. However, when we were trying to put together some of the conventional, the proof plan, we had some questions, and again, we met with Valerie and Rebecca to kind of go over some of those issues. And again, like Jeff said, we just wanted to try to get some initial input before we go spend a lot of energy, time, and money getting together some of these plans for you. So with that being said, a piece of properties, 305 South Bolton Road. South Bolton Road is located at the bottom of the property here. I apologize for the break line, but it's kind of an odd-shaped piece of property. If we put it on multiple pages, it gets really confusing, kind of moving things around a little bit. The whole piece is about 31.5 acres, but it's got some fairly minimal frontage. From the frontage that's here now, I think we'd be able to get one conventional lot and maybe 2 special permit lots, according to the town of Bolton zoning regulations. So what we have here is kind of the first go-round, if you will, of a conventional or a proof plan. And what it provides is a 500-foot dead-end cul-de-sac proposed roadway with some lots coming off of it. The zone calls for 2 acre minimum, 200 feet of frontage, and then some of the backland lots that we have kind of carved in here. From a dimensional standpoint, frontage area, all the lots kind of work. However, the piece does have some wetlands associated with it, kind of along the northerly border here, into a fairly good sized wetland over here, and there are a couple of pockets of wetland over in this area. And so I guess without further ado, cutting to the chase, the big question that I have as a design engineer and trying to lay this thing out is, if you could follow my cursor, we have a couple of special permit or rear hammerhead lots, backland lots here, and the rat tails that we call them kind of go right through the middle of the wetlands into the the developable area of these 2 proposed conventional lots. So the really question that we have is, what are the quote unquote standards of proof when we put the conventional plan in front of the board? I know your regulations say, you should have soil testing on every lot to make sure that you can get a septic system. We have done soil testing on this piece a little while ago, but what we try to avoid is, having to go and run roughshod over a piece of property to get a couple of perk tests or some deep holes that may not be in the location they actually need them. So really, with putting you on the spot, after I apologize for putting me on the spot, we just ask, what are some of those standards of proof that the board would either be looking for or looking at when we start to go forward with this?
I think I can understand not wanting to go roughshod all, and punch a whole lot of holes out there. On the other hand, if we said tonight, this looks wonderful, build it, you don't have any perk tests on the lot, so you don't know whether you could or not. So if you're proposing, kind of this lot configuration, I would think we would want, a deep hole and a perk, showing, viability of the lots, of the proposed lots at least.
So we would, again, with this, there's a couple of lots on here. Again, with the access coming through the wetlands, I know Rebecca would, show up at my house and punch me in the nose if we ever designed a driveway that went through that many wetlands.
Well, the driveway doesn't need to go through the wetlands. That's what a properly written easement would address.
Well, and that's kind of exactly my point. With the access to make it a legal lot goes through here, we could certainly put a driveway easement in and kind of get to the upland areas here. So that's certainly along the lines of what we're asking. We do have some soil testing on here. I didn't put it on the plan because it starts to get very, very busy. Up here in the open fields, back when we were doing the soil testing, we get some representative soil testing, some deep holes through here. But if you were to break it down with this new lot configuration, I wouldn't have soil testing on every single lot. And I know. Again, it's kind of a selfish question to ask, but we just want to make sure that we go and collect, do the due diligence and collect the information that you guys will be looking for and wanting to see when we put in a proof plan such as this, and then a couple of Fosberg, plans after that.
I mean, one of the things, we've got some steep slopes on here. If there's any way to do your design so that you're minimizing, as best you can to those slopes, where you can minimize, excavation and stuff like that. I think that's something and especially with the steep slopes being right next to that wetland, I'm sure that would be both from Concom as well as Planning Board, looking at it along that way. As you mentioned, clearly this one shows the driveway going straight through the wetlands, which that wouldn't be allowed for the Conservation Commission, but we certainly wouldn't want you to just go straight to the slope. I mean, clearly if there's a way to bring it up and kind of, however it needs to be traversed to meet the requirements of the subdivision, rules and regs, but also to try to minimize excavation, I think would be advantageous.
Very well taken. And it's kind of like what I said prior to, this is kind of almost a poster child for a Fosberg where, we can use and try to develop, not only the upland, but the upper portions of the property, kind of trying to stay away from those slopes. I absolutely agree with you. I just listened to that hearing right when the meeting right before me.
I have a question though. So on your, you were asking about the standard subdivision versus the phosphorus. I don't think the intent of the phosphorus is that, you could eke out more. I think you do have to come forward with a subdivision plan, see how many lots that is, and then you could use the phosphorus development to.
That's correct. You cannot use the phosphorus to get out more lots. You have to show a by right plan first.
Exactly.
So that you can actually get that many lots. And then what you can do is you can reduce the lot sizes and add 33% of a continuous, or it doesn't have to be continuous, but 33% of an open space that would be protected with the reduced lot sizes. So it's essentially reduces your footprint and your construction costs, protects areas, but you certainly can't add more lots than what you're allowed to by right.
So I think we would require a standard subdivision.
You do. You have to show both.
Yes, I think that would require deep holes and perks on the proposed lots. I'm not sure if the rat tails, if those would meet our lot regularity requirements.
Under the phosphorus?
No, under the conventional. I mean, if
backland,
for the backland lots. I mean, if this is, if the purpose of the conventional is to prove the number of lots, if some of these that have very long tails on them, is that going to meet?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it has to be a conventional that actually can be built. And clearly, I think this one's showing going like the driveway going through the well. That's not. I don't think that this is one that could be permitted.
But not just that, but having a backland lot within a subdivision, is that something that we even do?
Yeah.
Yes. So I've taken a look through a few other proof plans that have been approved, and a conventional. Well, to answer your first question, starting with the conventional subdivision, in a conventional subdivision, you're allowed to do the backland lot special permits as well. So this plan, so we're a step before doing the preliminary phosphorus plan, because he would, the applicant would need to show more about the land that he would set aside as open space. But just from other proof plans I've seen, simply having this kind of lot shape, as long as it, is still possible to permit it as a backland lot, seemed acceptable in other subdivisions.
Houghton Farm has
right.
this situation.
Right, but the applicant would need to, verify that this is the right acreage, the right frontage. You're not able to have more than, I think it's 2 of these right next to each other. A certain amount of a certain lot shape factor.
So to bring up the point one of the board members brought up, that we certainly wouldn't be looking to get any more, how do I say this? We're not looking to cram Fosberg lots in without proving, what we could get conventionally. And that's kind of, I guess, the whole, gist of my questions tonight would be, that, again, that standard of proof, do we literally have to go out and, full blown design a conventional plan and then say, okay, now come back and say, okay, but what we'd like to use the Fosberg. And I know the board has that ability to say, hey, we like the conventional better. I haven't been in town in a while, but we have done a few subdivisions.
I think if half this lot was unbuildable and say you could only fit 4 lots, but in Fosberg you could fit 8 and then use that unbuildable as open space, I think we would only allow 4 lots. I mean, I don't think, I think you have to prove, if, for instance, these, the lots, if you can't put a standard conventional in there, I don't think they should count.
Right.
That's
So
exactly, but and that's written in our regs. Like you have to show what can be built, and then those lots can be then reduced in other areas protected to reduce your footprint.
Correct.
So I mean, I think you need to do the due diligence to show that if we did say we wanted the conventional, that you've done the deep holes to make sure that that you could actually put a septic there, not design the septic per se, but at least do the perks and deep holes to show that it's viable. You need to check all the regularity numbers to make sure that those meet the requirements. You need to show that the house envelopes would fit with a rough septic and well offsets to show that that they would fit on these lots. So I think from that perspective, I mean, as you said, I mean, the planning board could turn around and say, yeah, we want you to build the conventional and not the phosphid. So you need to show that would actually work. And it's also, in order to meet lot regularity, if you have to, shift areas around or even drop a lot to allow more contiguous space for some of the remaining lots, you need to do that up front.
Correct. No, and I do, with the point taken, I think the dimensional part of it is pretty much black and white. I'll show you the regularity calculations and show building envelopes and things like that. I do think, obviously, we would show all that information. Mine was more on like I said, bringing up the access or the rat tail that I refer to, and that's probably not quite the right term, but where that would go through the wetlands, I would show the driveway coming up down through here, to try to do that. Again, it was just to try to get a, how much, again, do I go out and do perks on every single lot, kind of run roughshod a little bit over the property to do perks and deeps where we would probably want to give that for open space. And again, it was just to have the conversation so Jeff could hear from you guys, what that standard of proof that you've been using lately. Like I said, I haven't been in town in a while. I know for instance, somebody just brought up a subdivision. I don't know how new that one was that you alluded to. But did they do perks deeps on every single lot and then turn around and go to a Fosberg design, in which case they would have to do more deeps and perks to fit systems and houses, where they wanted to do them. So
yeah, I'm trying to remember, what did we do for Goose Pond Road? Because I know that they had showed it was 11, I believe it was 11 conventional lot, subdivision, and then they did obviously the phosphid. And I'm just trying to remember, I feel like they showed test pits on every single conventional lot, but I am not positive on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
What's the name of that subdivision again? I just want to.
It's actually it's Tadmore Subdivision, but the road is Goose Pond Road.
Goose Pond Road. Thank you. Apologize.
But when it was submitted to the town, it was under Tadmore Subdivision.
So I think most of the engineers go in expecting they're going to build a phosphid, so they kind of do that plan kind of in parallel with this, so they know where they're going to need to do, additional testing for the phosphid, and then where they're going to need to do just some basic testing for the conventional. So it might be that, out in the lot, on the other side of the cut line, that you do, a couple of deep holes just to show, yes, this is viable, but up in that upper field area that you're talking about, maybe you're doing a lot more testing in there too, that you're going to want for the phosphid.
And again, that's the way we were approaching it a while ago when we were working on the property. We have a bevy of information in through this area here. We never really traversed the wetlands to go back out and really do any testing back here.
Right, but at this point, you're basically saying that, on the conventional plan, you're gonna plan on putting a house out there. So, I guess the simple thing would be, just prove that you can do it.
And typically, this is a quote unquote official testing, correct? Witnessed by the Board of Health, Nashoba. You don't typically take our word for it, correct?
I would believe so.
Okay.
I mean, again, if for whatever reason, we decided to, request you build the conventional, are you going to go back out and retest it, with Nashoba there to witness it?
Well, again, yeah, it is kind of a fine line. It's just you want to make sure that you put the testing in the area where the systems are going to go. Right. Sometimes when you overlay, a conventional plan to a phosphid plan, sometimes you'll get lucky and get one or two of those areas, but then you're just going to go back out and redo them. So, yep, it's just a matter of, like I said, just trying to kind of re-educate myself to the town of Bolton and what type of information we need to collect so that we can show you guys what we're doing.
Okay.
Oh, Jeff is still. Do you have any other questions, Jeff? Or I think I probably bent their ear enough, being the late guy to the meeting and then keeping these guys all here later. I apologize again.
No, I mean, this was our kind of first. This was our shot at that standard plan. Obviously, we have a little bit more work to do on this one, but we just kind of wanted to make sure we got this in front of you. Brian asked the questions that he asked, and if there was anything notable that any of you saw that is completely wrong or shouldn't be there. So that was kind of the only thing.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything particularly wrong, with the proposal, but there's a lot of details missing, and
this plan was not ready for submittal purposes.
Right.
It was really just to have this conversation. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Like with a lot of wetlands, just make sure all the keep outs are included in the standard plan and all that.
So the other quick question I have, and you guys might not be able to tell me this, but so in the special permit regulations for backland lots, there's it's actually 2.3.5.5 G, where I need to have 1.5 acres of contiguous land, which is not in a floodplain district, which is fine. I don't have floodplain really here. But the other one says, or in the water resource protection district. But then you go to the water resource protection district part of the zoning, and that has been eliminated. So there was a little bit confusion when we met with Valerie and Rebecca as to that issue.
I thought the water resource protection district was your interim wellhead protection areas. Is that not correct?
So it denotes a section 2.5.4, and then you go to the zoning, it says 2.5.4 was eliminated.
Right. So I think, other towns have water resource protection districts within their zoning, but like within their zoning districts. And so I wasn't sure during that meeting. Let me just see.
Well, it sounds like that used to be defined. So it may need to just dig back through. I don't know if we have access to older versions of the rules and regs and bylaws to see when that was removed and why.
We actually do have some old codes hanging around. But I can do that. Like I said, I just didn't know whether you guys had come across that recently. And maybe I can do some research at town hall on some of the, I think you guys had a hearing tonight on a special permit. Hopefully they're in the Water Resource Protection District. I can learn something. But, yeah, I think you've answered pretty much our questions. I really do appreciate your time.
Okay. Any other questions or observations from the board on this? I'm sure we'll be seeing much more of it.
For better or for worse, right?
Okay,
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
great. Thank you.
Thanks again. And again, one last time, I do apologize for being late. I appreciate it.
We worked around it. It wasn't a big deal. So, okay, thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and now for the one last item on the agenda is the board is going to go into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to ongoing litigation.
So we need to stop recording then, right?
Yes.
So I think, yeah, so first, I think that it'd be helpful if the chair would make a finding that just state that discussing an open session would be detrimental to litigation.
Okay, yeah, okay. So in this case, discussing this in open meeting would be detrimental to the town's legal response on the issue.
And then if the board wants to, it's been a while since I've done this, if the board wants to vote to go into executive session, and we have nothing else on the agenda, so if you also wanted
we will not be returning to open meeting, open agenda, open discussion.
Yeah, I can make a motion to close the meeting
or we could
or adjourn. Is that it?
Well, no,
yeah, it could be to enter into executive session and to adjourn the regular session, the regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the regular session and to go into executive session.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Sorry. Mark Sprague,
Yes.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Peter Driscoll,
Aye.
Eric Nyland,
Aye.
Jim Barr, or sorry, I don't know if you do get a vote. Daniel Spicer.
Aye.
All right, so Nikki, I'm gonna kick you into the waiting room, but we will be adjourning afterwards. So.